They called it a check-in, but I knew better the second I saw both of them in that glass conference room. Lila from HR sat with a stack of forms she didn't even pretend to shuffle, and Curtis Hale leaned back like he owned the skyline. I'd been at Northway Materials for 9 years. Curtis had been my boss for 6 of them. He smiled like this was just another meeting, like we were about to pick lunch spots, not fire a man. Effective immediately, your position is eliminated, Lila said, eyes on the paper. No, we regret to inform you. No thank you. Just that flat HR voice like she was giving me the weather. Curtis wore his stupid navy tie with the tiny sailboats, same one he always picked when he needed to pretend he was approachable. It was crooked. That's what I noticed, right as my life got torpedoed 9 days before bonuses hit. I'd already spent that bonus in my head, 55 grand, give or take. I needed it to cover Mom's hospital bills and slap a new roof on her house before the Michigan snow turned her living room into a freezer. I kept my voice level. Severance? Standard package, Lila said. 4 weeks pay, a reference assuming no complications. Curtis jumped in with, we're restructuring, like that made it noble. Like I was supposed to thank him for cutting my knees out. I didn't say a word, didn't give them the dignity of a scene. I walked back to my office, boxed up my desk, 3 mugs, some notes, and a photo of Mom I hadn't looked at in weeks. People looked away like I was contagious. I rode the elevator down like a man being lowered into a basement that didn't have lights anymore. At home, I poured 2 bourbons, nuked a freezer burrito, and sat on the edge of my bed like it could explain what had just happened. My hands shook when I tried to text my sister. I didn't hit send. Then I remembered something. Bottom drawer, left side, left. Old junk, spare mouse, busted stress ball shaped like our dumb company mascot. But under all that, the envelope, still sealed. My original contract from 2017, back when the CEO acted like loyalty meant something. I opened it, read every line, lips moving like I was casting a spell. Page 5, Section 10C. If terminated without cause, employee is entitled to 8% of company net quarterly profit in the quarter of termination in lieu of standard bonus and severance. I sat up straight. That clause wasn't in the new contracts, but mine was still active, and they'd just fired the wrong guy. Before we continue, tell us in the comments where in the world you're tuning in from. Now, back to the story. I leaned in across the table, trying to read her face. Nora wasn't the dramatic type, so if she said she had proof, I believed her. But I needed more than hallway gossip. I needed fire. What kind of proof? I asked. Meeting notes, Slack threads, memos from Curtis to Lila 2 weeks ago, laying out who to cut and when, she said. They knew they were over on exec comp. They needed a fall guy. I blinked, gripping the edge of the table so I wouldn't reach for the syrup bottle and throw it through the window. Send me what you can, I said. Privately, no work account. I'll keep you out of this. She nodded, no hesitation. I'll clean the metadata before I send anything. I don't trust Curtis not to plant spyware in the printer. We paid in cash and left separate. I drove straight home and went through my external drive like a man digging up a grave. Client thank you notes, my performance reviews. 2 email chains where the CEO himself thanked me for saving the Q2 margins with that retrofit deal. I pulled everyone and dumped them into a folder labeled receipts. Then I sat down with a pen, a napkin, and some hard truth. Northway Materials had averaged over $30 million net profit per quarter for the last 2 years. I remembered that number because I used to sit in boardroom updates while Curtis blabbed about growth curves like he invented them. 8% of $31.2 million was $2,496,000. Not a rounding error, not a token severance. That was life-altering, and I had it in black and white. I emailed the clause to Mark Rudd with a one-liner. Here's the lever. Let's pull. He called within 15 minutes. This clause is clean, he said. You negotiated this yourself? Back in 2017, after I landed the statewide retrofit project, CEO wanted to keep me happy. Mark chuckled. Bet he regrets that now. Then his tone changed. They won't pay without a fight, not this amount. They'll say it was for cause. That's their only move. I leaned back, jaw tight. What do I do? Build the case. I need proof you were valuable, respected, and blindsided. Praise emails, internal awards, project wins, anything to show they're lying. I pulled my folders, backed everything up twice, and sent over what I had. I could already feel the ground shifting. This wasn't a personal mistake. This was a play. They dumped me to save face and shave payroll right before the quarter closed. And if I didn't swing back hard, they'd bury me in paperwork and lies. Next morning, Nora's email hit my inbox with the subject line, "I hope they choke on this." Inside were screenshots of Slack messages from Curtis calling my termination clean timing, an internal HR memo saying, "No formal complaints, proceed under restructuring," and calendar invites proving my last official review was over a year ago. I forwarded everything to Mark. 30 minutes later, he called. "This is gold. The memo alone undercuts any claim of misconduct." "They're gonna forge something," I said. "Bet money." "Let them," Mark replied. "But get ready. Once we fire the first shot, they'll come hard." He drafted the letter while I made a stiff drink. We kept it ready. No bluff, no soft language, just facts and a demand they couldn't ignore. But we did not send it yet, and I wanted to see Curtis's face when he opened that envelope. Mark answered on the second ring. "You serious?" he asked. "They tied my layoff to the same week the retrofit closed," I said. "After burning months of my life on it. That project is what pumped their quarter, right?" "Exactly. They closed the deal, claimed the margin, and booted the guy who delivered it." I could hear him scribbling. "We're not just talking payout now. This is motive." "Keep the letter out for now," I said. "I want to get my hands on everything before we send it." Nora didn't waste time. That night she sent 5 files from a Proton Mail account with the subject line "Insurance." Meeting minutes from the executive team. A project summary with my name still in the lead role. A budget slide with my salary boxed in red. Review for redundancy. All dated a week before I got cut. The worst one? An internal memo Curtis forwarded to Lila and the CFO. It said, "Retrofit deal likely to finalize next week. Recommend scheduling final payroll adjustments before public reporting." I stared at it until my jaw ached. The next morning, Mark read every word. Then he looked up and said, "They were counting your win against you. This is textbook enrichment by elimination." I didn't say anything. I just nodded. That afternoon, Nora called. Not texted, called. Her voice was low, tight. "Caleb, they're trying to scrub stuff." "What do you mean?" "I was in SharePoint. The memo I sent you, gone, like it never existed. And now Curtis is suddenly pushing a security audit on department access logs." "You okay?" "I haven't done anything stupid," she said. "I emailed from home, but I don't trust this guy not to spin something. He's cleaning up, Caleb. That means he's scared." "Don't log back in," I told her. "Seriously, if they're scrubbing, we've got what we need already." "Then you better move," she said, "because this window's about to slam shut." I called Mark and we went hot. No more drafts, no more patience. He sent the demand letter certified that night. It was short, clear, and deadly. Pursuant to Section 10(c) of Mr. Morton's employment agreement, we formally request payment of 8% of Northway Materials' net quarterly profit due immediately, due to termination without cause. Mark didn't fluff it up. No legal poetry. Just numbers, names, and a clause that would sink them if it got in front of a judge. That same night, Nora texted me one last thing. No words, just a screenshot. Curtis had scheduled a private call with legal and the CFO, subject line, "Clause situation." I grinned. My hands stopped shaking for the first time in days. They thought I'd just box up my mug and vanish. But now they knew. I was still inside the walls. I stared at the screen, still holding the mouse like it might bite me. Curtis hadn't just lied. He built a time machine. Each file had that same clean metadata, created the morning after I got fired, right down to the minute. I clicked through the rest, one by one. Performance plans, written warnings, even a fake review. All of them read like they were written in a panic by someone who thought sounding smart would cover up the stink. Mark's voice was low but sharp when I called. "They forged your personnel record to trigger the clause void. That's fraud, Caleb, not policy. Fraud." "Let's not warn them yet," I said. "Let Curtis walk around thinking he's untouchable." Mark didn't argue. He just told me to keep everything secure and encrypted. The next day, Nora sent a message. "You might want this too." Attached was a screen recording of Curtis editing one of the documents. His name appeared in the author field, plain as daylight. The timestamp matched the rest, and there, in the corner of the screen, was his tie reflected in the glass door behind him. I laughed harder than I had in weeks. Curtis really thought he was the smartest guy in the building. "Send me that clip," Mark said. "It's the cherry on top." We knew what was coming next, though. They'd send an offer, a small one, just enough to test if I'd take a quick check and walk away quiet. And right on cue, 2 days later, a white envelope arrived by courier, sealed like it held diamonds. Inside, a 5-page letter offering $180,000 and a mutual NDA so airtight I'd be sued for sneezing too close to the building. Mark raised an eyebrow when he read it. "This is fear money," he said. "They think you don't have the stomach to fight." "They're wrong," I said. "They already fired me. I've got nothing left to lose." He nodded slowly. "We could file. Civil court. Discovery. Force the emails into evidence. Or we bait them deeper. Let them think we're circling but not ready to strike." I rubbed my temples. My head felt full of bees. "You're saying don't bite yet." "I'm saying let them sweat," he replied. "And we go quiet while I prep the grenade." That night, Nora called again. "Curtis is rattled. He asked IT to audit file recovery protocols. That's not routine. Means he knows we've got the files. Worse," she said. "He's worried you've got more than he does." I thanked her, told her to lay low, and promised she wouldn't regret helping me. Around midnight, I got a message from an unknown Gmail. "Are you the one fighting the Q3 clause? If so, I need to talk. I have the real numbers. And I'm not the only one who saw what they did." It was signed E. Porter, Finance. I stared at the message, reread it twice, then typed back, "Name the place. I'll be there." I met Evan at a diner off the bypass, midweek, mid-afternoon. Place was empty except for a guy in the back booth playing solitaire on his tablet. Evan looked like he hadn't slept in 3 days. His tie was loose, eyes red, fingers tapping the table like they had nowhere else to go. "You really Caleb Morton?" he asked. I nodded. "You're Evan Porter?" He gave a tired half smile. "Yeah, fired me last week. Said I wasn't aligned with departmental goals. Translation, I asked questions they didn't like." He pulled a flash drive from his coat pocket and slid it across the table like it was radioactive. I ran the actual Q3 data before they cooked it. They started moving revenue from Q4 into Q3 to make the profit line pop. That retrofit deal, they booked it early. It hadn't even cleared the second signature when you were fired. I picked up the drive and weighed it in my hand. So they inflated Q3, then used that fake bump to justify layoffs? He nodded, then pretended they never did it. "Why come to me?" "Because you're the only one fighting them," he said. "I thought I was crazy until your name came up in the finance group chat. They've been telling people you moved on amicably." I stared at him for a second. "You got anything else?" Emails from the CFO to Curtis, timestamps, forecast versions, the real margin numbers before the padding started. I slipped the flash drive into my jacket pocket. "You did the right thing." He looked at me like he wanted to believe that. "I just want to feel like I'm not alone in this." "You're not," I said. "Trust me." Back in my truck, I plugged the drive into my laptop and opened the folder labeled "Final Actuals Do Not Share." My jaw clenched as I scrolled. The projected net for Q3 was listed at $31.2 million, same number Nora gave me. Evan's original had it at closer to 24. That extra $7 million came straight from future work, pulled forward to game the books. I called Mark. "I've got the real numbers," I said, "with proof." "Good," he said, "because I've got the meeting." "What meeting?" "Face-to-face, CEO, General Counsel, Curtis, you and me. Conference room, end of week." I didn't blink. "Let's bury them." I watched the progress bar crawl as the files uploaded. It felt like dragging dynamite up a hill. Once it reached 100%, I called Mark and gave him the password. "Review everything before the meeting," I said. "Don't hold back." He sounded sharp and wired. "I'll loop in a forensic guy I trust. If these files are legit, this turns from wrongful termination to full-blown financial manipulation." "They're legit," I said. "Evan wouldn't risk this just to stir the pot." "Then they're cornered," he said, "and they don't even know it yet." The next 2 days were quiet, too quiet. Nora texted once to say legal was holding internal reviews, which was HR speak for don't delete anything but panic quietly. Evan kept radio silent, Mark just sent a thumbs up emoji, first and only time he's ever used one. I spent the night before the meeting printing hard copies of everything, metadata screenshots, audit logs, side-by-sides of original versus edited spreadsheets. I slid them into folders, marked them by topic, and clipped on the retro clause at the front like a title page. 8% of 31.2 million. That number echoed in my head like a war drum. Next morning, I wore the same shirt they fired me in. Not out of sentiment, just a reminder to myself that I hadn't changed. They had. We met in Mark's office first. He laid everything out on the conference table in stacks. "They try to gaslight you," he said. "Just slide the timestamp forward. Don't argue. Just facts." "Got it," I said. "Any backup plan?" He pulled a sealed manila envelope from his briefcase. "Complaint. Fully drafted, not filed, yet. If this goes sideways, I hand it to the court clerk this afternoon." I nodded. "Let's cut the engine mid-flight." 15 minutes later, we stepped into the building I'd walked out of 2 weeks earlier. Nobody looked up from their screens. Nobody spoke. But I felt it. The awareness. The tension. Like they knew something was coming, but couldn't name it. We waited in reception until Curtis came out, fake smiling like we were there to brainstorm team-building events. "You ready?" he asked. "I've been ready," I said. He didn't reply. Just turned and walked us into the big glass room with the company logo frosted across the far wall. The CEO, Whitaker Sloan, sat at the head of the table. Janine Klein, corporate counsel, was already flipping through a legal pad. Curtis tried to sit across from me, but adjusted his chair twice like it wouldn't settle. Mark leaned forward, tapped the stack once, and said, "Shall we begin?" Sloan nodded. "Let's." Mark opened the first folder, slow and deliberate. "This is a warning file created on September 18th. Mr. Morton was terminated on the 17th. Then he opened the second. And just like that, the fuse was lit. Whitaker didn't waste time once we shook. He stood, motioned toward the window, and said, "Let's take a minute before legal comes back in." I followed him to the glass wall that looked out over downtown. Cold skyline, clean lines, no fingerprints, just like their version of leadership. He rested his hands on the sill, not facing me. "You ever wonder," he said, "how many things fall apart because someone's afraid to admit they made a bad call?" I didn't answer. I wanted to see where he was going with it. He exhaled through his nose. Curtis should have brought this clause to my desk the second he saw it. Instead, he doctored records, patted the books, and tried to steamroll you out the door before it caught up to him. "He thought I'd take the hit quietly," I said. "Thought wrong." He nodded once, then turned to face me. "I'm not going to pretend we're heroes for fixing it now, but I can do the right thing going forward, and I hope that's enough for both of us." "It is," I said, "as long as the wire clears and the ink's dry." We sat back down as Janine re-entered, followed by Mark. She passed over a final print copy of the agreement with her initials in the corner. No fluff, no hidden clauses, just what we asked for. Mark reviewed every line like he was scanning for poison. Then he slid it to me and handed over a black pen. I signed. "Your copy will be couriered by close of business," Janine said. "Funds initiated within 72 hours. "Good," I said. "And the conditions?" Whitaker looked at her. She opened a separate folder. "Evan Porter," she said, "will receive a consulting engagement agreement dated retroactively to the start of quarter 3, 200,000 flat, labeled Project Advisory. Terms are clean." She handed me the second document. Evan's name was right there at the top, along with a start date that made it look like he'd never been cut in the first place. I flipped to the signature page. "And he's already signed?" "Digital stamp added this morning," she said. "Funds will be wired same window as yours." Mark gave me the smallest nod. "And Nora?" I asked. Whitaker pulled out a sealed envelope and slid it across the table. "Letter of recommendation, personally signed, reviewed by me. No boilerplate." I opened it, skimmed the lines. It was clear, strong, specific. He called her strategically vital and said she'd be an asset to any executive team. I'd hire her on the spot if I read this cold. "I'll hand deliver it," I said, tucking it into my folder. "She earned it." "Is that everything?" Janine asked, pen poised like she was already halfway out the door. I looked at Mark. He gave a half shrug. No more plays left, no more blood needed. "Yeah," I said. "That's everything." Everyone stood, Handshakes went around like business as usual. Whitaker waited till the others filtered out before facing me one last time. "You'll stay quiet," he said. "I'll stay fair," I replied. He didn't push it. We shook again. This time his grip was a little tighter. In the elevator, Mark broke the silence. "You did good in there." "I did what I had to. That's what makes it good." The lobby doors opened and I stepped back out into the real world. No glass, no boardroom, no crooked ties. Just clean air, a signed folder under my arm, and enough truth behind me to sleep again. The money hit just like they said it would. Tuesday morning, 9:13 a.m. My bank app lagged like it didn't know how to handle that many zeros. When the number finally popped up, I set the phone down and just stared at the screen for a minute. 7 figures, no strings, no fine print, no games. I didn't smile, I just breathed. First thing I did was open Mom's hospital portal. There was a red banner across the top that always said, "Balance due, $74,902. I typed in the routing info, hit submit, and watched it spin. 10 seconds later, it was gone. Balance, 0. Status, paid in full. I called her while I queued up the next payment. "You're not going to believe this," I said. "Oh, what now?" she asked. "Did you rob a bank?" "Better," I said. "I made one pay me back." She laughed, but I could hear the tears working their way through. "I can stop saving these stupid pharmacy coupons now?" "Yeah, Ma, you can throw them out." The roof was next. I called Bannon Contracting and told them to move us to the front of the winter list. They gave me a date, locked in materials, and confirmed full payment within the hour. Then came the credit cards, the medical debt collectors, the 5-figure bills with interest stacked like firewood. I knocked them down in a single sitting. One account after another turned green, zeroed out. The weight didn't vanish, but it shifted. I could finally stand up straight. That afternoon, I checked Evan's wire. 200,000 posted and cleared. I called him right away. "You got it?" I asked. "It's real," he said. "I thought it was a mistake at first." "It's not a mistake. Buy a bed that doesn't squeak and a laptop that doesn't wheeze. You earned it." He didn't speak right away. I could hear him sniff once. "Nobody's ever gone to bat for me like that." "You were the bat," I said. "I just swung it." That night, Nora sent me a picture of the letter. Whitaker's signature was clean, and not one word of it was filler. She called 2 days later from her car, laughing through her own tears. "Got the offer," she said. "Full PM lead, better pay, remote option, a boss who doesn't quote TED Talks at me." "Proud of you," I said. "Stay sharp and pretend you're not the smartest one in the room. That's how you get promoted." I didn't sleep early that night. I didn't get drunk or celebrate or post anything dumb online. I just sat out back with a blanket over my knees, listened to the wind rustle the branches, and let my phone die in my lap. And when I did sleep, it was full and clean. No elevators, no glass rooms, no fake warnings. Just quiet. There was no champagne, no celebration dinner. Just a Tuesday morning, with the weight off my back and my feet on solid ground. I sat at my desk with a cup of gas station coffee and opened a job review site that half the industry read when they were considering a switch. I didn't post under my full name, just my initials and city, but I made sure every word hit where it needed to. If your company starts talking restructuring in Q3 and no one's sharing numbers, don't blink. Start printing. Loyalty doesn't save you. Optics do. I added a sentence about how performance plans can appear overnight if someone at the top needs a scapegoat. I didn't name Curtis. I didn't need to. Anyone who worked in a place like that would read between the lines. Within 3 days, I got 24 private messages. Engineers, analysts, mid-level managers, people who'd gone through the same quiet slaughter and were still trying to figure out why. "Thanks," one wrote. "You helped me understand what they did to me wasn't personal. It was policy." Another said, "I printed my offer and checked for carve-outs this morning. You might have saved me 6 figures. It felt like balance, not revenge, not gloating. Just pulling the next guy back from the same edge. A small software firm out in Colorado asked if I'd be willing to consult part-time, help them rebuild their culture after a messy round of leadership changes. I told them I appreciated it, but I was still working on rebuilding myself. They understood. I took Mom to see the new roof go up. She wore her favorite fleece blanket and sat in a folding chair like it was a front row seat at a concert. The crew waved as they nailed down the last section. I took a picture of her smiling under that blue sky and saved it to 3 different folders. That photo meant more to me than any wire transfer ever could. A week later, I closed on a beach place. Just 2 bedrooms, single story, nothing fancy. But it had a screened-in porch and no neighbors within yelling distance. 3 hours from the city, 20 steps to the sand, no cell reception on one side of the house. And I liked it that way. In the mornings, I sipped coffee and listened to the gulls fight over stale fries by the dunes. Some days I wrote, some days I didn't. The laptop stayed shut more often than not. Evenings, I'd sit with the contract in my hand, the one from 2017, and run my thumb over the print where Section 10 was still highlighted in yellow. I almost threw that envelope out. Almost cost myself everything because I assumed it was just HR fluff. I wasn't joyful, I wasn't bitter, I was steady. There's a difference most people don't appreciate until their world goes sideways, and they're lucky enough to land on their feet. Once in a while, I thought about Curtis. Not with rage, just clarity. I pictured him clearing out his office in a rush, jamming that crooked little sailboat tie into the bottom of a box and trying to spin his exit like a personal decision. He played the game like I'd stay quiet, but I read the fine print. I used their system better than they did, and I never even raised my voice. I didn't plan to keep telling this story, but the more I stayed quiet, the more people kept falling into the same trap I escaped from. So, I figured if I had the scars, I might as well show them. I'm not a hero. I'm not a victim. I'm a man who kept receipts. I didn't burn the place down. I didn't file a lawsuit or drag anyone into court. I gave them one meeting and a simple choice. Own it, fix it, and pay what was owed. And they did. Because in the end, the numbers were louder than the lies. I should have seen it coming sooner. The calendar invites got vaguer. The talk about realignment ramped up. Bonuses went from hard numbers to soft targets. Curtis started smiling too much in meetings where he didn't belong. That's when I should have looked closer. But I was loyal. Dumb, maybe, but loyal. I showed up early, worked late, and gave a damn. That's what they used against me. That's what made me easy to cut. They thought I'd go quietly, maybe send a bitter text or vent to a buddy over beers. Instead, I read the fine print. I checked my contract. I found the clause they forgot was still there, buried on page 5, right next to the section about holiday blackout dates. 8% of net quarterly profit. Not a team pool, not a maybe, a number. They tried to rewrite the ending with fake warnings and padded forecasts, but they left fingerprints, metadata, screenshots, and 2 people inside who weren't afraid to speak when it counted. If you're wondering how it felt, sitting there while the CEO looked me in the eye and told Curtis to pack up his box, it felt like getting my name back. Not revenge, not payback, just clarity. Like someone finally wiped the fog off the glass and let me see myself again. I didn't scream. I didn't gloat. I shook hands, asked for 2 extras, and walked out with my spine straight. Evan got paid. Nora got her shot. I got to stop checking credit limits and coupon apps every time Mom needed a refill. I keep it simple now. Coffee on the porch, Mom on speaker, wind off the water doing what it wants with the last of my hair. Sometimes I still write. Just short notes for people heading toward the same ambush I walked into. Here's what I tell them. Save everything. Read every word they think you won't. If someone backdates your story, find the file and flip it. Balance matters more than noise. Don't beg for fairness. Document everything and demand the truth. And if a man across from you wears a crooked little sailboat tie while telling you it's just business, smile once, then sink him with his own paperwork. One quick question. When restructuring hits your world, do you document and fight or walk away? If you have hype, tap it. Please subscribe, like, comment, good story, or your thoughts.